My dead husband introduced me to my current husband. I'm Nora McInerny. I am an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a remarried widow, and I want to talk to you about invisible strings and the story of how I met my current husband. Now, I say current husband because I am widowed and I am remarried, and I didn't divorce my first husband. He died of brain cancer in 2014. We'd been together for 4 years. He was sick for 3 of those. He was amazing. He was so funny. He was the life of the party, and his gift was making everybody feel like they belonged. And I am not programmed to believe that I belong. I walked into the room where I met him feeling so self-conscious. That's how I've walked into every situation, just being like, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. This man walked up to me and my cousins and my friends. We were all standing in a circle, broke into that circle, and he said, "You're Nora McInerny." He had followed me on Twitter. I had followed him. This is like a simpler time, like when you could meet somebody on Twitter and like flirt and kind of let that anticipation build. And that was it. We were just, boom, we were together. It had never been that easy for me in my entire life. Aaron was like the first guy who like really, truly like liked me, where I didn't have to pretend to be like a different kind of girl to convince him that I was worth liking. He just liked me. That is how low the bar was. The bar was in absolute hell. The night that Aaron and I met, we were at a art opening for this art space in Minneapolis. The space had been my uncle's photo studio. He was a commercial photographer in Minneapolis, did photo shoots for Best Buy, Target, General Mills, and he no longer needed that big space. So he had kind of passed it on to the next generation of Minneapolis creatives, and they celebrated with this huge party. And I was there, and Aaron was there, and Aaron was there specifically to see a band that was playing, one of his favorite bands, local Minneapolis band. I had never heard of them because I just like was not that, in on the underground culture. I was, that was not my scene, but he loved that band. He was so excited that they were there. And I was like, yeah, cool. Yeah, they sound great. I don't know. And that was a huge part of Aaron's life. He loved going to shows. He loved music. He loved going to shows. I have boxes and boxes of concert tickets that he saved from over the years. So that was 2010. So in 2014, it's very clear that Aaron is dying. It's brain cancer. I don't know if you've ever seen it up close, but it's pretty horrifying. It's pretty horrifying. And I came home from work one day because don't worry, it's America. I worked till the end and so did he. But I came home from work and he was crying. And I assumed that something bad had happened on my way back from work, that maybe he had had a seizure, or maybe, he didn't feel good, but he was crying because Andy Richardson had died. And I didn't know who Andy Richardson was, but Andy Richardson was in one of Aaron's favorite bands in Minneapolis. He was in The Crush. And somebody had set up a GoFundMe for Andy's widow, Mo Richardson, and her son, Bronson. And Aaron had donated to it, and Aaron had shared it. And Aaron, I think, was kind of seeing the future that I would have without him. Oof, did not expect to cry. I don't know why I didn't expect to cry. Why wouldn't I cry over this? He had never met Andy. He'd been to a lot of his shows. He didn't know Mo. He didn't know Bronson, but I think a part of him knew that she was walking a path that I would be walking soon. Andy's family and our family lived in Northeast Minneapolis, and we happened to go to the same coffee shop, the Coffee Shop Northeast on 30th and Johnson. If you're ever in Minneapolis, that's one of my favorite spots. And I was in the coffee shop after Aaron died in late November, and the coffee shop ladies wanted to know if I'd met Mo Richardson. We had so much in common. Our husbands were dead. We had children. We each had a son. And I said, no, I haven't met her. And every time I went into the coffee shop, they wanted to know, have you met Mo? Have you met Mo? And finally, I had to say like, no, I will meet Mo. I will meet Mo. I got her contact information. We connected. And a month after Aaron died in late December, we met up. We met up on a street corner. And it was like a gravitational pull towards each other. Like we saw something in each other that the other people who loved us and knew us like just couldn't see because they just hadn't experienced it yet. And that is how I met one of my soulmates, Mo. The writer Nora McInerny has said that one stranger who understands your experience completely can do what all the friends and family in the world cannot. And that's what Mo did for me. She was, like Laura says, the cool glass of water in hell. The fact that I was like connecting with somebody who had been married to somebody that Aaron admired so much was just so fascinating to me. And I had to believe like he was a part of it too. Like he and Andy were like out in the great beyond being like, you guys got to find each other. You got to be there for each other. And a year after I met Mo, I was in Mo's backyard. That first year of widowhood is so disorienting and it's so physically, like my shoulders even feel it now. The first year of grief is so physically affecting. Did you know you could die of a broken heart? Widows are more likely to die of heart attacks. But I was so tense. I was so sleep deprived. It truly felt like I could just I couldn't even turn my head at that point. I could not turn my head more than this. Like it hurt so badly. We were in Mo's backyard burning things. I was burning, the many medical bills and like explanation of benefits that arrive in the mail, which are just your insurance company's way of saying like, this is not a bill, but it will be. Oh, it will be. And when it arrives, you are going to be poor. So we're in her backyard. This guy walks in. I'm like, she's like, oh, I invited my friend Matthew over. I'm like, great. And I have to pretend to care about somebody, but I don't. I'm just like burning stuff. I'm ignoring him. He grabs a glass of wine. He comes back out. He goes to sit down in one of those Adirondack chairs and the chair crumbles. The chair like flips back. All I see out of the corner of my eye is like feet and then like an arc of wine. And he's like upside down on the ground. And the way I laughed at this man, like pointed, left, tears flying out of my eyes. I'm like sobbing. It's like, it cracked my exoskeleton. I had needed a laugh so badly. Now knowing my husband, I cannot believe he didn't just like disappear into a puff of dust. He is so easily embarrassed. He is so shy, but somehow he just went inside, cleaned himself up.
I'm fine. Totally fine. I don't know why it's coming out all loud and squeaky, because really, I'm fine.
And came back and he just listened to Mo and I talk and cry for hours. And finally, after a few hours of like bursting into laughter every time I glanced at him, I looked at him and I was like, what is your deal? Like, when did your wife die? And he was like, oh, no, I'm not, my wife's not dead. I'm divorced. And I was like, that is fascinating. Our husbands died. Your wife stopped loving you. You've got to tell me about that because that has got to hurt. And he was like, thanks. Nobody's ever pointed it out to me that way. But yeah, it did hurt. I was not looking for love. Obviously, I was not, I was 50 weeks into widowhood. I could barely feel like anything, let alone affection for another person. But Matthew also wasn't looking for love. And Matthew was such a stable, loving, kind presence. I could tell that he had survived something, and that was the thing that we had in common. He had survived something. He had gotten his kids through it, and he would never, and I think this is a good thing, he would never need me. I'm going to spare you the whole like background of like our love story, but Matthew had been Mo's friend, which means Matthew had been Andy's friend, which means Matthew had been at all of these shows that Aaron had been at. And Matthew had also been a drummer in bands that Aaron liked, bands that Aaron saw live. Matthew was supposed to be the drummer in the band that was playing the night that Aaron and I met. Years before I would meet either of these men, fall in love with either of these men, they would be in the same dirty basements in Minneapolis, seeing bands that I had never heard of and would have not gone to the show even if I had heard them, because at that point in my life, I was listening to pop music and pop music only. And then also like oldies. Like I was really big into James Taylor in high school. Matthew and Aaron are opposites in a lot of ways. Aaron was the life of the party. Matthew was the guy doing dishes during the party. Both are very necessary roles. The world needs both. Before Aaron died, he told me not to fall in love with any boring dads who wear cargo shorts. And I can say that Matthew is not a boring dad and he does not own any cargo shorts, to my knowledge. He might have owned them in the past, but I know that man's closet front and back. I know that he is not currently a cargo shorts wearer. And I really do think that Aaron led me to Matthew. He led me to Matthew by leading me to Mo. And I'm glad he did, because Matthew lets me still love Aaron. He's never made me feel weird about it or bad about it or guilty over carrying my grief for Aaron and my love for Aaron alongside the joy that I feel with Matthew and the love that I have with Matthew. He gives me space for all of it, which is honestly what everybody deserves. It's really comforting to me to know that we have so many connections with people that we don't know will be important to us in the future. It's a thought that's really comforting to me, that we have all of these invisible connections to people who are important to us now or will be important to us in the future. And we just never know what those threads are connecting to us next. I'm Nora McInerny. That's how my dead husband introduced me to my current husband. I love hearing stories from you all too. I have a podcast called Thanks for Asking. We take your calls or text messages. The number is 612-568-4441. I'm live here on YouTube on Fridays at 12 p.m. Arizona time. You'll have to do the math yourself on your time zones. And I love hearing from you. So tell me your invisible string comments. You can call, you can text, you can leave them in the comments. And thank you to everybody who has subscribed and liked and shared these videos. This is a new thing that I am trying, and it feels really good. We have like 8,000 subscribers. That's amazing. Thank you for that. I'll be back soon.